Would Twisted Wonderland have been better as a dating sim? That was an insane question that was asked on Twitter.com. A question that I read many user responses to. And after consuming so many opinions from strangers on the internet, I have come to my own conclusion. Maybe, but mostly in spite. Let me explain. Many of the people that I saw saying, "No, it would not have been, you absolute buffoon," said so because they believed that in the game being a dating sim, it would limit the narrative and perspectives you could see throughout the game. And those who think, yes, so real, totally 1000%, just want to hold hands and smooch JPEGs. And I gotta be honest, more times than not, I'm on Team Delulu. Because here's the thing, many of the anti-dating sim people I've seen have been pretty pissy about this whole conversation, if you can even call it that, and I truly cannot fathom why. Because they already won. The game does not have a hand-holding option. You cannot canonically marry the boys. The only one that came close to marriage was Idia, and that was without consent. The game is a straight hop, laced adventure visual novel with fights and rhythm games. Did I mention there's no smooching? When I say Twist could have maybe been better as a dating sim, first of all, I'm not totally serious. I know, I'm a fence sitter. Boo! But I feel like that negative reaction is from people who have never played an otome game. Like, you're worried about the narrative being restricted? Oh honey. The first otome game I ever played is a silly little ditty by the name of Midnight Cinderella. I have completed one route in the game, and when I tell you I considered switching sides so many times. In Midnight Cinderella, for plot reasons, you're chosen to be the new princess of your country. Each of your potential suitors aid you in your transformation from rags to riches. The first and only route I have completed is Lewis, your manners and dance instructor. Middle school me had a thing for men with beauty marks and wore blue, so he was right up my alley. You meet every love interest in his route, except for the super secret prince of a foreign nation, Ra, but you learn a lot about each of them. Not as much as I'm sure I would have in their personal routes, but enough to make me consider ditching my dance teacher for Alan the Dashing Knight. You get a pretty good understanding of each character you meet, because no matter the route, the game wants you to be interested in them. They want you to play every route and see what each character has to offer, in regards to their personal story and a new perspective to the main story. Depending on who you're with, you experience slightly different situations, events, and your relationships with other characters also vary. Regardless of who you're with, Midnight Cinderella is a story where you play as someone who was forced out of their normal life and pushed into a whole new social class. She went from being surrounded by loved ones to being constantly judged, criticized, and a target of hatred and envy. And while her new life is full of luxury, it is also isolating and something the player character never asked for. Each suitor helps you navigate through this change in their own way. In Lewis's route, his way of helping you is training you to be the perfect princess so there's nothing to criticize. That's his way of protecting you from the cruelty of high society. Slight spoilers, but eventually you find out Lewis was also forced into an upper class lifestyle after being adopted, or kidnapped, one of those two, and hates it. If I remember correctly, he straight up tells MC to run away several times. That's another way he tries to protect you. And depending on the order in which you partake in the romances, your view of the story is going to be different as well. A dating sim that I am currently playing, Pio Fiore Faded Memories, I probably butchered that title, but please bear with me anyways, has you being saved from a dangerous situation by different mafia families, depending on your decisions and progression through the game. Each faction has their own values of each other, and depending on who saves you and when, can drastically change how you view the entire conflict of the game. You're forced to start your journey with one of the Falzone options, and the NPCs talk mad trash about the Visconti being traitors to the family. Yet when you meet the Visconti for yourself, they're literally just a bunch of guys, at least as much as the Falzone were when you first met them. And like Midnight Cinderella, no matter who you're smooching, Pio Fiore is a story where MC is forced into hiding/protection because she's being targeted by something? I haven't gotten far enough to find out yet. But you meet and befriend so many characters that add to the overall story. And in Nicola's route alone, there is a lot going on. All this to say is it is more than possible to have a fully compelling narrative in an otome game. Having the option to date characters doesn't inherently mean there can be no other plot, or that the plot is bad. Dramatical Murder notoriously had such an interesting story that the company behind it released a version of the game that had the explicit content removed because some people just wanted to enjoy the main narrative. To my understanding, you can still date the dudes, it's just more family friendly. I watched the anime knowing nothing. How many games simultaneously have you fighting against an oppressive government and also have yaoi Jesus? Just one, and it's a dating sim. While yes, Twisted Wonderland's visual novel format is great for a long linear story where you can experience everyone and everything in one neat, tidy go-around, I personally think it would still be able to tackle serious topics, carry the same emotional weight, if not more, and have its own impactful story beats as an otome game. It would be disingenuous to not acknowledge that large chunks of the narrative would be way too ambitious for a standalone otome game. I cannot imagine how he would work up to stinks in a single route, or how he could end up there and uwu hard enough to get Idiot to not destroy the world. Or like the entirety of book 7, I don't even totally understand how we got to book 7. Lilia, control your child? In my head, I personally envision a watered down version of your first days at NRC up to VDC, but we merge VDC and the spell drive stuff together in a singular event for time's sake, and also kind of tap into the exam season for Octavinel and Scarabia's story. And depending on who's even available as a dating option, / who you choose, the route would focus on different events for longer. Personally, I'm more than content shipping the characters with each other. I have no desire to marry any of them, except maybe Idia a little bit. I think some people could be a little hesitant because they don't want your name getting in between their ships. Or perhaps they don't want to worry about some routes getting done dirty, or their faves straight up being insane in different routes. Uchino Princima literally had me hating Renjin Guji, one of my favorite characters in the anime, for a good week after finding out the shenanigans he pulls in both his own and Masato's routes in the original game. Boy needs help. Even in my normal books and comics, sometimes romance feels more like a hindrance to the narrative rather than a benefit. But ultimately, while Twist would be a very different game, I think it would still work as a dating sim, and could even be slightly more compelling for some people. And I don't even just mean the incentive to finish so you can marry your Oshi. Mystic Messenger in every route had me care for every character in different ways, except for V and Jaehee. Never really cared for them, and I feel especially cheated with Jaehee. Best friend my butt. Many people when talking about Mystic Messenger focus on the romantic bits, which makes sense. It's a dating sim. But there is also an overarching story across all the routes involving old friends, a party we're planning, having the social skills to not scare off sponsors via email, and a full-on cult. There's a literal cult storyline, and it's scary, but you get to see the same events from a different angle depending on who you're courting, which is fun! Do you not think it would have been cool to see the events of Book 2 from inside Savannah Claw? Being by Leona's side as he plots against his peers for the sake of his pride? Pun intended. Or to be part of Diasomnia and out of nowhere hear that someone is plotting against your silly guy that just wants to stare at gargoyles all day. Or even be in Heartsabule and find out your baker boyfriend was pushed down a flight of stairs Omori style. Are you telling me the idea of helping your Blorbo through their overblot with the power of love has zero appeal to you? Regardless of your answer, it's valid and fun. It's not that serious, and I doubt we need to worry about Disney switching up on us anytime soon. Your Name Goes Here fanfics exist for a reason, and you can daydream as much as you want. I don't think I necessarily made a case for Twist specifically envisioned as an otome game, but I do think it could be fun to discuss in the comment section or even in a future video. Heck, if someone wants to straight up make one, feel free to promote it in the comments. I low-key want to make one just for fun, but I feel like it's too much time and effort that I'm willing to dedicate to a joke. I would love to verbally imagine one though, if that's something you would be interested in. Honestly, I just wanted to be an advocate for my fellow otome game enjoyers that don't hate the idea of Twist being one, simply because it felt like some of the concerns for Twist being one were a misunderstanding of the genre in general. Once again, I don't think it really matters which side of the question you're on, but I do think it's important to at least be respectful about it. There's nothing wrong with being content with Twist as it is, and there's also nothing wrong with imagining what could have been if Twist decided to go the dating sim route. Let people dream. Okay, I'm going now. Bye! This is very abrupt, but I just saw a tweet that was like, literally all the Twist characters are insane. Why would you want to date them? I'm gonna just leave this here. Okay, I'm leaving for real now.